I love my team. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to July's quarterly forum. Thank you for joining us this morning. Per usual, this forum is being recorded, and I believe that has already started. And just please note that no additional private recordings of the meeting content are authorized, but we will share out what we record to our listserv community. So I'd like to just begin really quick by introducing myself and the team. My name is Erica Salinas. I'm a workforce planning consultant at CalHR, and along with Terry Hansen, also workforce planning consultant at CalHR, and then our newest team member, Jordan Seaman, who is a workforce planning analyst, also at CalHR. And if you experience any technical issues throughout the meeting, please go ahead and private chat to Terry. She will absolutely be able to assist you with that. Throughout the meeting, we encourage you to ask questions or comment. And if you are welcome to either write your question or comment in the chat, or you can use the hand raise feature, and we'll go ahead and call on you at that time. And then in the meantime, just per usual, if you don't mind staying on mute, just to kind of avoid some of that background noise. So jumping into our agenda, we have some CalHR updates to start you with, including our update from our DEI unit by Erica Morgera, and we also have some special guests. So from EDD, we have Akhtar, who's our Labor Market Information Division Chief, and then Brandon, who's a Senior Research Data Specialist. And they'll be sharing some information about the labor market data that is currently out. And then as well as from Department of Finance, we have Edwina Troop and her team from the Office of State Audits and Evaluations, who will be presenting some information on the State Leadership Accountability Act. So let's jump into some CalHR updates really quick here. As many of you had contacted us about, so we appreciate that. It means you are engaged with this. You've noticed that this year's annual survey is currently on pause. And so for those of you who are new, each year CalHR requests from departments their workforce plans and succession management plans, and or the statuses of where you all are in that planning and development effort. And so that normally is due at the end of the fiscal year, but we have a pause on it this year because we're updating the annual survey for stronger alignment with AB 316, which is the new bill that addresses state employees who are in underrepresented groups. So the survey date is still to be determined, and we will send out further communication through the listserv once we have a bit more of an eye on when that'll come out. Please don't worry, you'll have plenty of time, plenty of advance notice to prepare. As you're aware, these do go out straight to your directors, so I know a lot of you guys like to get ahead of the game on this one, so we'll make sure you're able to do that. And it's just going to kind of improve cohesiveness with the slate reports, which perfect timing that Edwina and her team will be here to talk about that, as well as your own strategic plans and the impact that it'll have on the annual survey. We'll be able to kind of like define a little bit better what that means. Obviously the new release date, and then it'll be a very similar ask plus a few more items that we'll be requesting, or not physical items, but just a few more information, a bit more information in particular as it relates to recruitment efforts. So keep an eye out for that communication. Again, if you're not already on our listserv, you can request to be on it through wfp@calhr.ca.gov. And going into our non-traditional apprenticeships, we do have a couple exciting announcements to make here. We are actually kicking off our very first pre-apprenticeship program. It's called the Civil Service Career Exploration Program Pilot. And so what it involves is a series of free ARC courses in either an IT or financial services track, while it is not a prerequisite to enroll in the pre-apprenticeship program in order to participate in the regular non-traditional apprenticeship programs, it does prepare folks for that participation and just kind of overall help upskill them in their current career interests. And additionally, participants who complete the pre-apprenticeship will receive a bit of an advantage when they apply to any of our non-traditional programs. So there are several benefits there for that new program. Currently, we have 3 participating departments, and that's EDD, DSH, and FTB, with over 130 applicants that are going live that we're currently vetting to eventually select who will be able to participate in the program. And so huge thanks to those 3 departments who have been willing and excited to go along this pilot ride with us. For the remaining departments who have been involved in some type of non-traditional apprenticeship effort, you will absolutely get the opportunity to be involved in this pre-apprenticeship in the future. We're just kind of trying to take our own best practice recommendation here. When we're trying to develop and initiate a new program, we want to set it up for success as best as possible. So in this case, we just downsized it just a bit to start with a smaller group, kind of work out any kinks, which we aren't anticipating, but just to make sure it ends up being a really great product when we release it to the larger apprenticeship community. The next big announcement here for apprentices is that our financial services program apprentices are graduating in August. So that is just around the corner. And we have 5 graduates in the following participating departments: DGS, CDPR, CHP, CDTFA, and DOR. So thank you for all of those who participated in cohort 2 of financial services. We're very excited about our apprentices graduating. And in fact, as a little highlight, during the program, 2 of those participants even promoted. So living proof that these programs are working. And if these sound like interesting career development opportunities for your departments, please reach out to us at apprenticeships@calhr.ca.gov. And so at this time, I'd like to invite Erica up here to share a little bit about some DEI updates.
Great, thank you, Erica. My name is Erica Morgera, and I am with the DEI office at CalHR. And I only have 2 updates that I wanted to share with you very quickly. One of them is the DEI office is finalizing our listserv. And if you are a current toolkit subscriber, you don't need to do anything. Nothing will change. But we do ask that if you are a current subscriber, you share with your friends just so that the word can get out and more people can get the information, but nothing changes on your end. And then the last update I have is that the DEI office is in phase 2 of our strategic plan efforts. And currently we are conducting internal assessments. In September, we will have statewide focus groups set up. So look for more information to come on that in the next several weeks. And what I can tell you about the focus groups is that they will encompass a wide swath of voices. That's what we're really interested in getting. So those voices will come from different departments and within different levels within those agencies. So again, that will be coming in September or so in the next several weeks. So those are all the updates I have for now. Thank you for letting me share.
Great, thank you, Erica. All right, so we will jump into our first presentation by EDD. And as we get started here, I just want to highlight that the labor market data that EDD shares represents part of the workforce planning data that we recommend you compare your own workforce to as a gauge of kind of how reflective your workforce is to the larger state workforce. So this is really valuable data that they do release. Definitely be taking a look at this as you're developing, updating your own workforce plans. And so first I would like to introduce Akhtar, who is the Chief EDD Labor Market Information who's in the Labor Market Information Division, and Akhtar is the Information Division Chief at the California Employment Development Department. Akhtar has performed various leadership roles in labor market information and U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics programs at the EDD for almost 2 decades. Prior to joining the EDD, Akhtar worked as a research specialist at the California Integrated Waste Management Board and as a statistical analyst at the Nebraska Department of Labor, where he developed and administered the America's Labor Market Information Systems database. Akhtar holds a PhD in soil science with a concentration in statistics from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. We also have Brandon Hooker, who is a senior research data specialist with the Labor Market Information Division. And Brandon is the senior research data. Oh, sorry, I already said that. For EDD, and he's conducted economic research for federal, state, and local government agencies, private sector entities, institutions of higher learning, and nonprofit organizations for over 15 years. Prior to joining EDD, Brandon worked as a research analyst for the Connecticut Department of Labor's Office of Research. He holds a master's degree in public administration from the University of New Haven and a bachelor's degree in sociology and applied social relations from Eastern Connecticut State University. And so just for this presentation, we do ask that you hold any questions until the end. And without further ado, I would like to invite up our EDD team.
Thank you very much, Erica. Thank you for inviting us to this forum. Good morning, everyone. I am Muhammad Akhtar. As you already heard, I go by my last name, Akhtar, and I can give you reasons sometime later why Akhtar. I am a Division Chief of Labor Market Information Division in EDD, and with me is our Senior Research Data Specialist, Brandon Hooker. We have prepared around 20 slides for this presentation. Before I request Brandon to review the slides with you, I want to take a minute or two to give you overall picture of our division. Labor Market Information Division is one of the several divisions in Employment Development Department. We have around 158 staff, and we have divided that staff into various groups, like 6 major groups. And we directly administer 5 federal programs in cooperation with the U.S. Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics, and Employment and Training Administration. So it means all those 5 programs are directly funded by Bureau of Labor Statistics and Employment and Training Administration of U.S. Department of Labor. We also provide supportive services in terms of data analysis and some reporting for various other programs in EDD like Wagner-Pfizer, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, Unemployment and Disability Insurance, and also we work very closely with our tax branch for the base wage data. Majority of our staff are based in Sacramento office, and we have 25 staff in various offices throughout the state to take care of our local customers and stakeholders. Brandon, please go ahead and tell us more about LMID, and I will join you for Q&A session towards the end. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Akhtar. Thank you very much. Next slide, please. Great. Now, if you're looking for products that are involved in our data development process, if you're looking for the tools that are assigned to, the data analysis purposes and things that are going to support a lot of the recruitment strategies, you don't have to look any further than our LMID website. Our LMID website is a standalone tool that utilizes a lot of data search tools for a lot of the data I'm going to be describing today. Also, a lot of the data dashboards. So you're getting a lot of the data that really comes alive through a visualization and self-service tools. So a lot of our customers can get the information they need just at the tips of at their fingers. Also, a lot of the tools that you see on here are going to be applied to other areas that I'm going to describe later, such as our research reports, also some of the foundations and building blocks of other products that we produce. But if you're looking at just an all-encompassing piece that includes things that you can use for recruitment strategies, workforce development, economic development, as well as workforce planning. All those tools are going to be found on our LMID website. Next slide, please.
Brandon, I just want to mention that your camera's off. I'm not sure if you knew that.
On my side, it looks like it's on.
I can see you.
Okay, then it's just mine.
Yeah, we can see him.
Okay. How's my tie look? It's okay. Okay.
No, you look very good.
All right. Hey, thank you. All thumbs. Thank you very much. I think I'll just stay on this slide right now. But getting back to our presentation, in terms of our quarterly census of employment and wages program, this is part of our data development process. This is one of the building blocks for a lot of the products I'm going to be showing you later. The quarterly census of employment and wages is basically a census of all businesses in California that participate in the state's unemployment insurance program. So a lot of the data that's going to be included in this is going to include the name of the business, the address of the business, the employment levels throughout the quarter, the monthly employment throughout the quarter, as well as the total wages earned by a firm. So when we're looking at this kind of data, you can see how it could be one of the building blocks in our overall development process. And the screen that you see right below on the screenshot, you're seeing how this data, this raw data, is applied to what our customers need. They need to know the number of businesses in California. They also need to know the number of employees in California. And also, we get a lot of requests tied to, say, small businesses in California. Those are typically those that have less than 10 people. And as you see by the outline in the table below, you can see how that data is easily broken down. So what we're specialists in is taking a lot of this micro data, this survey data, a lot of our in-house administrative data, and turning that into information our customers need. And next slide, please. And also another piece and a building block in our data development process is our local area unemployment statistics program, basically our LAUS. This data is also something that you'd see regularly in our Sacramento Bee or other newspapers across the state. One of the big headlines is what? The unemployment rate. What's going on with the unemployment rate in California? People use this as a barometer for the economic health of the state. And within the program itself, it's funded by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And within that contract with the Bureau of Labor Statistics, we are to publish labor force statistics for the state of California. These labor force data include things such as the civilian labor force, which is the sum of employed and unemployed persons. Also, the number of employed persons, the number of unemployed persons, and then using that data to produce statistics such as the unemployment rate, and also the labor force participation rate. Basically, the number of workers within our population that are 16 and over that are available for work and actively seeking work. Those are the components that go into our labor force participation rate. When we publish this data, it's very useful because it's published not only on the statewide level, it's also produced at the sub-level, the county level, the metropolitan statistical areas, also a lot of our sub-county areas. So you're getting a lot of local data on our cities and towns throughout the state. These data are only available seasonally adjusted at the statewide level, but our customers have been benefiting from the data that we provide on the monthly level at this more detailed level as well. Next slide, please. Okay, get that next slide. And, thank you very much. Thank you very much. In terms of another building block that we have in our development process of data, some of it derives from our current employment statistics program. And the data for our current employment statistics program basically encompasses the industry employment and earnings data. If we can just go back to the previous slide on the current employment statistics program. And in talking about the current employment statistics program, the data that are involved are broken up at the statewide level, metropolitan area, as well as county areas. And unlike the industry information that I talked about before, the business information from the quarterly census of employment and wages, these data are more current. These were the data that a lot of our customers used, especially during the COVID-19 period, when they needed data immediately. What are the trends regarding California? What's going on with the unemployment rate? What's going on with various industries throughout the state, not only at the statewide level, but at the local level where we're at? What's going on with it? What are the impacts of COVID? So we can provide information to workforce planners to adjust to this change in the state economy. Also, when we're looking at the overall current employment statistics program, it's not just published. The results published on our website. We have a monthly briefing where we go over not only the numbers, but information from the LAUS program I described to give you a broader picture and put the data into a form so that you can understand what the overall impacts are truly to the state and its respective workforce. Next slide, please. And the next slide I'm going to be talking about is involved our occupational employment and wage statistics program. And this supports a lot of our data development and also some of the tools that we use to help our customers. And it also supports a lot of our recruitment strategies. When you're talking about overall wage statistics, you can see how that would be involved in a recruitment strategy for a business. Also on the side of the worker that wants to potentially look into an individual occupation for their career. The Occupational Employment and Wage Statistics Program offers information on over 800 different occupations. The way we gather this data is through a survey that's mailed out to employers semi-annually. So we're collecting information from the businesses in regards to their overall employment, also the information on the occupations themselves within the business. This information is broken out on an hourly basis for the employer to fill out. Also, there's an annual associated wage as well, so the employer can fill it out for every occupation. But as you can see, as a table inside of this slide, you're looking at it and you can see how this could help a lot of the recruitment strategies. Often a business will go into it and say, you know, am I offering wages that are comparable to those in my area? Sure, they have data on the wages for the state, but I'm looking at something. I'm trying to have a recruitment strategy so I can bring in the best people and offer the best possible wage, but I need the most current data available. So that's why they go to our occupational employment and wage statistics, looking at an occupation such as sales manager, making sure that they're offering the information that is available. When we're looking at the overall data itself, we're looking at some of the information that's included. The information that included is a general estimate of May 2021 employment, and that's based on the survey year itself when it was collected in terms of that data. Also, in terms of the data, looking at the 50th percentile, people like to look at the median wages so they can get a better feel for what an occupation earns over time. These data itself are available both at the statewide level and also at the county levels as well. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of more data development tools that are involved in our process and creation of reports, and also those that help with a lot of the recruitment strategies, people look for the Employment Projections Program, and LMID publishes projections at the industry and occupational level. And it's basically capturing the impacts of, say, structural changes in California's economy. Are we seeing increased tourism in California? This is going to adjust a lot of the industries within, say, leisure and hospitality and retail within an area. Are we seeing more mechanization being used within certain industries? So this is going to affect manufacturing as more and more robots and AI are used. There's less need for overall labor. Also, when you're looking at the employment projections, things to keep in mind are, what's going on with workers themselves. Obviously, you can look at a particular industry such as manufacturing, as I just said. Some of the declines sure are going to be tied to, say, mechanization. Also, it can be tied to an aging workforce as one of the oldest workforces in the state. So you might want to use that as a recruitment strategy because you have workers that are aging out and going into retirement, and you want to be a bit better prepared as a business looking forward. The data included within our industry projections includes not only the net changes over time and the percent changes over time that can help a business. You can also look at the occupational projections, and they're going to include information on the net changes over time, the changes in the business, also wage information. That's key to making a lot of the recruitment strategy decision-making information that's also included for occupational employment projections includes information such as education level for an occupation. If I was going to look at it, say, as a student or a career guidance counselor, I'm going to look at, where is this occupation going to go in the future based on what the current trends are and what the anticipated trends are. What's the education level? As a guidance counselor, I'd be telling students that would be interested in occupation, what's going to be going on, what are the educational requirements, and what are the anticipated wages and, say, job training that are going to be needed. So this program is not just a standalone program where you just look at numbers and see net changes. It can be implemented into workforce planning effectively, also career guidance planning, and a lot of recruitment strategies for businesses throughout the state. Next slide. Okay, and the next slide that's going to be coming up is in regards to our geographic information systems. In terms of geographic information systems, it's basically giving us a data visualization of what's going on in California's economy through a very detailed graphic. So it's going to be combining some of the tools and data sources that I mentioned before, such as the quarterly census of employment wages, and at times our current employment statistics program to give an actual visualization that's effective for our customers. What you're seeing in that graphic is one of the products that was produced as a result of the Caldor fire, and that fire burned over 200,000 acres in 2021, destroyed over 1,000 structures, and damaged 81 businesses throughout Alpine, Amador, and El Dorado. And when you see that kind of impact on a community, the responses from workforce planners, the responses from government agencies and various state agencies, what are the number of businesses that are affected? What are the number of workers that are going to be affected? In terms of the EDD's perspective, what is the potential for the number of people that are going to be filing UI claims? So it's not just a matter of just having data in a visualization such as this. There's great uses for this within various state agencies and workforce planning agencies throughout the state. What you're seeing there is that the LMID uses QCW data to look at where the businesses are located. And then we take that data and couple it with a lot of the geographic data that we get from CAL FIRE. So they know the overall location of the incident of the fire. And then we're able to create those rings that you're seeing around. You're seeing like a pink ring, a blue ring, and a purple ring. Those are representative of the 1, 2, and 5 mile buffer zones. Basically, the areas that are going to be affected by the fire itself in terms of businesses and establishments. So you can see how this information is very useful for workforce planning, also, the unexpected planning that you have to do in regards to a lot of the natural disasters that happen throughout the state. LMID is prepared to create these GIS maps for a variety of regional economic analyses and also a lot of the natural disasters. Next slide. And the next slide I'm going to be talking about is a lot of the local area data analysis capacity that LMID has. It's one thing to provide information on the statewide level, but we know that during, say, an economic downturn, you typically see a lot of the impacts of that on the local level. What LMID has are labor market information researchers that aid all the 58 counties throughout the state. As I mentioned before, on all the data sets that you saw before, they have access to all of these. So they're able to create the deliverable and deliverables such as the one you see in the graphic, basically taking the tools that are within LMID and providing a bigger picture for our local customers. So they're going to be able to provide information and able to offer a lot of research data-driven products for people that are interested in, say, their recruitment strategies. You know, what's going on the local level in terms of wages, in terms of occupational and industry projections, what's going on the local level. A lot of the times you're not able to get access to persons that can help you with that, but LMID is able to help you with this information. We serve a host of customers that range from educators, economic developers, state agencies, local governments, you name it. We have been providing data to support their workforce planning and adjustments in the economy. So it's important to have the information at the statewide level, but know that we have staff on the local level that can help our customers. The next slide, please. And I was mentioning before, in terms of the local data capacity and reach that we have, again, we reach all of the 58 counties. Our staff are assigned to a particular area and respective county, and we make this information available on our website. So if a business, a workforce planner, career guidance counselor, or recruitment strategist was interested in just getting the local data, we provide you with the direct contact information so you can get the information within your particular area. Next slide. Now, the next few slides are going to be more on the building blocks and the data that we have in regards to our overall development process. And I'm going to give you a brief description on how they're used, how we can create products for our customers that can help not only with workforce planning, but general information on industries and occupations within the state. One of the main things that we use is our base wage file. And in terms of the base wage file, it holds a lot of the administrative data from a host of programs within the EDD that range from the UI program, the California Personal Income Tax Wage Withholding Program. And it includes a lot of data in regards to, say, the Social Security number, the employer account numbers, the quarterly wages, and the quarters and years for a particular worker within California. This information is key because LMID has the capacity to create a lot of longitudinal studies. And if those who aren't familiar with a longitudinal study, it's basically looking at, say, a group of people, for example, say graduates from a state university, seeing where they were employed before graduation and seeing where they're employed after. We're able to link this base wage file to our business information file, that QCEW, and now you can look at, say, a graduate left UC Davis with a certain degree, and now are they in that individual degree that they went for, or are they in something else? Those are a lot of the questions that a lot of our customers have. Also, in terms of nonprofits, those graduating from a particular program, say a training program, what's going on afterwards? What are the outcomes of this training? We use the base wage file for that type of analysis. Looking at the unemployment insurance claims and the DI insurance claims, this type of information was extremely helpful to various customers throughout the state, including our state legislature, that basically wanted to look at, the UI claims data and the number of claims. Obviously, during the COVID-19 period, they're at an all-time high. LMID had the resources and techniques and specialized techniques to break it out in various areas. And I'll show you a product of that in one of the upcoming slides. And the same with our disability insurance. Just a lot of information on these claims is important to our customers in terms of workforce planning. Next slide. And a lot of the sources we use just aren't in-house. We use a lot of our state and federal data sources as well, such as the U.S. Census Bureau data. The U.S. Census Bureau uses a host of surveys, ranging from the American Community Survey, Decennial Census, and the Current Population Survey. LMID uses a lot of the microdata. So as I was describing with the Laos data, where we provide, say, the unemployment rate, we're able to use a lot of the microdata to provide information such as the unemployment rate for persons with disabilities by age. Obviously, that's very important because of the challenges of persons with disabilities, looking at some of the veterans' unemployment rates over time, and also doing a lot of analyses that are broken out by gender, age, ethnicity, things of that nature. So we're using a lot of the microdata from the Census Bureau, not just a lot of the commonly used tools, so we can address a lot of the concerns of our stakeholders and workforce partners. And I was describing before, some of the data from CAL FIRE is used in terms of our GIS planning, looking at the impacts of natural disasters, and we're able to provide data visualizations to give our customers the information they need. In terms of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, it's always important to look at agriculture. Obviously, California, in terms of its products that come from agriculture, they're global, but also there's a pretty strong workforce that tops over 400,000 within California. So this is all often looked at in terms of providing additional, say, social services to those that are in agriculture. Typically, the workers don't earn the higher wages as, say, a more technically advanced or an occupation that requires more advanced levels of training. So they need more social supports. So they would come to LMID asking for some of the current trends related to agriculture. Next slide. Also, some of the secondary sources that we use within LMID are done in Bradstreet, looking at some of the databases and more technical information so that we can provide some of the risk analysis. If you're looking at a local, from the local perspective, if a major firm is driving a lot of the jobs within an area, a lot of our workforce development partners like to look at, what's going on in terms of the financials. Are they at risk of bankruptcy, or are they growing? Things of that nature. That information is produced by Dun & Bradstreet, and it's been of great use to a number of our customers. Lightcast is basically a database where we're looking at a lot of the online job ad postings, so we can look at online job ads and the trends tied there amongst industries. Which ones are adding jobs right now? Which ones are declining right now in terms of online job postings? Sure, this isn't the total supply, say, of jobs or the total number of jobs, because obviously there's also conversations that are had outside of this online platform to gain jobs, but it does give us key information for our customers. In terms of Data Axle, it's basically another database we can use to provide information to businesses. We often get a lot of requests for individual business information, but we are held to the standard, the confidentiality laws, the Federal Trade Secrets Act, and also various other federal and state privacy mandates within the EDD and the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So we can't provide information from in-house sources, but we can provide some general information through Data Axle. Next slide. In terms of how a lot of our data is eventually used and produced tools and deliverables for our customers, I'm going to do a quick rundown of these. It would be our labor market briefing for 2022, basically breaking down what's going on within California's economy. This is a great tool that our customers use so they can get a rundown of what's going on with jobs, the net change over time over the year, and also the unemployment rate. We've used a lot of the data in-house to produce things for the EDD in terms of the unemployment insurance fraud that was rampant during the COVID-19 period. The information LMID was able to provide allowed our EDD directorate the information they needed to assess not only the amount of money, but the overall scope of the overall problem that was going on, and that provided them the information they could use to create some very timely solutions. Also, in terms of the long-term unemployment study and the agricultural study, these information are produced using a lot of the in-house data sources. So it's not just a matter of just keeping the information in-house. We apply that information to tools customers can use. Next slide. And again, with a lot of the trends going on within California and a lot of the federal legislation that has been occurring, LMID is proactive in its response in providing research reports and research tools for our customers. In regards to responding to, say, federal legislation, there was the CHIPS Act, basically trying to get more semiconductor production back to California and back to the US. And so there was federal legislation that provided funding to businesses to support growth there. Obviously, our workforce partners wanted to know, where is the industry concentration within the state? What are the overall projections of this industry over time? LMID was there to provide information. Also, in terms of healthcare, occupational studies, obviously California's demographics are getting older and larger concentrations are going there. So a lot of our workforce providers and a lot of the economic developers tied to healthcare in particular wanted to know how this is going to impact the overall workforce. A lot of the health-related businesses wanted to know, where a lot of the employment was shifting over time. So we were able to provide great information there as well. Next slide. Now, this is how we've been applying a lot of the data that I was describing earlier in terms of our UI claims and DI claims. This was a product that was actually produced out of a request from the EDD directorate to get a more of a drilled down look at what was going on with unemployment claims. This is a self-service tool. We were receiving thousands of requests throughout the months during COVID, and we just needed a tool that people can just gather the information themselves, but at a detailed level. So they're going to be getting information on UI claims related to not only the claims themselves, but broken out by age, race, and those types of variables, and also various areas throughout the state at the county level to really get the impact of what was going on with UI claims. Next slide. Now, in terms of overall recruitment strategies, this is a great tool people use. It's our California Occupational Guides. It's extremely helpful, not only by providing information on the occupation, but also, what's also going on in terms of overall training, specialized tools that are associated with an occupation, various wage breakouts within an area for a particular occupation. The California Occupational Guides are key to a lot of the strategic efforts. Also, in terms of a business, if they were looking to create, say, a job description and needed additional information, they would turn to, say, the California's occupational guides for that information. Next slide. And I provided a little bit of a rundown on how all of our stakeholders use our data and deliverables, and they can range from the workforce boards, government and economic development partners. Obviously, on the EDD side, it helps with a lot of the administration of our programs, also assessing workforce needs. In terms of the government side, addressing things such as COVID-19, what are the overall impacts of COVID on the industry and occupation side? These are the building blocks. This type of data will help support some of the projects and planning that we have to address that need, and a lot of the economic development on the local side, basically looking at some of the overall trends and using some of that raw data to do some of the economic forecasting and other specialized labor market development products. And next slide. Now, in terms of our overall roundtable meetings, we host roundtable meetings, and this is basically a mesh of workforce development partners, state agencies, everyone coming together in an open forum to discuss a lot of the issues that are affecting California's economy. It was the vision of former Labor LWDA Secretary, and that's our Labor and Workforce Development Agency Secretary, Natalie Palujai. And she had this vision of just providing more of a collaboration, more of a forum where people can address a lot of the issues. And we've hosted topics in regards to the impact of COVID-19, agricultural workforce, and persons with disabilities, so we can provide not only a forum for discussion, but a forum for where partnerships can begin, so they can create a lot of the workforce solutions that are probably being implemented today. Next slide. Okay, see if the next slide can go through, I believe. In terms of our overall data requests, I've described a number of the uses and the customers that are looking for information from LMID. It can range from customized reports to technical longitudinal services. Those data requests vary, and they come in specialized forms. Sometimes the forms that they're requesting require a little bit more information. And we do have a cost sharing policy. And the cost sharing policy that we have is just for the handling costs tied to the information requests. Sometimes they're very extensive and require more time than, say, an hour to produce. So that's when our cost sharing policy really kicks in for that. In terms of the topics that LMID does not provide in, basically some of the data limitations, obviously they're tied to, say, the gig workforce. Right now, there's not a lot of state and federal data on the gig workforce, a lot of estimates. Some are accurate, some are inaccurate. So we don't provide that information yet until we have a solid source for that data. Green workforce, again, with that. Occupations are inherent within a lot of industries. So a lot of people are considered green. Tough to parse out that information. So right now it's a data limitation. And importantly, with our EDD business and worker microdata, we have to adhere to the state and federal laws. So we don't disclose any confidential information on businesses and workers, which people ask, but we do offer something that's complementary to that through our Dun & Bradstreet and potentially our data axle databases. There are data limitations within our base wage file on race and ethnicity. People want to know about particular wages for different racial and ethnic groups. Right now, we can't provide that information. And also some of the other information tied to job layoffs. These are some of the limitations, but on the whole, LMID has been satisfying our customers with their workforce needs for over 50 years, and we're going to continue to do so. So if we can just move forward to maybe the question period, if I didn't take too long, we can address a couple of them.
Okay, we don't have any questions yet, but I just posted a note for people to add their questions to the chat or to raise their hand. So we'll be looking for that. Okay, Michelle, can you go ahead and unmute yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me okay?
Great.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much for this presentation, Brandon and Actor. I had a question about the EDD depth of data regarding workforce profiles. So meaning retirement projections, turnover separations at a state and local level, things like that.
Okay. Yeah, in terms of retirement projections, we don't do those in those projections in particular. In terms of retirements, though, you can find some information within our projections themselves. We have a lot of replacement information, basically people that are leaving the occupation themselves. So you can get a feel for, in terms of the overall total number of job openings in the future, what numbers of those are tied to, say, replacements and also transfers, people leaving an occupation. That kind of information we do provide. In terms of the job openings, we typically look at say, the information we get from the online jobs. It's been used as a proxy for gauging online job demand and overall labor turnover for a particular job by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Harvard University, and various other state agencies. But in terms of the overall program that's tied to, say, job openings and labor turnover, the Bureau of Labor Statistics does have its JOLTS program. So it does break out information at the national level, and it also breaks it out on the regional level in terms of the overall openings and overall labor turnover. So those kind of tools would probably be beneficial for that, just looking at the general trend. But in terms of California in particular, there isn't that information yet.
So there is a question in chat, I think, Brandon. You can, what is the question? About roundtable, I think, right? Can anyone join the roundtable LWDA EDD roundtable meeting? If so, how do we join? Yeah, that is based on invitation actually, and we decide based on the topics we share in that roundtable, like we have already done on agricultural data in California, and we invited so many people related to that field. And then and others like on Brandon, maybe you can talk a little bit more on that.
Sure. A lot of the people that we have and the stakeholders that come to it are interested in, say, a particular topic. We had one on agricultural workers. So we had some of the universities there. California Department of Food and Agriculture was there, and some of the workforce development partners that were tied to that. A lot of the email, say, distribution for the meeting is run by the Labor and Workforce Development Agency. But if there is, say, a particular topic that does come up, we recommend representation from various areas. So just like with the ag information, we recommended that we have more of the university presence there, more of the agricultural related presence there. But a lot of the overall distribution that goes out in regards to the meeting is driven by the Labor and Workforce Development Agency.
And I believe that's all of our questions for now. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Akhtar and Brandon, for this very thorough presentation on the labor market data that you guys have available. Such a super useful toolbox of info, and particularly for our recruitment efforts. I love all the occupational projection stats that are on there. Also, so keep this set of data and tools and stats in mind, in particular when we talk about needing to do an environmental scan, right? To see which things happening sort of legislatively or environmentally or technologically may end up having an impact on your workforce. This data certainly holds valuable insight into those areas. And you saw even how they showed some of the fading occupations as a result of new tech that's coming in and kind of taking over, or even all of the info that you can gather from those geographic info systems maps. Did not know anything near that was available. So thank you so much for sharing all of this.
Thank you, Erica. And I just want to share with you all that we are in process of in revising the data presentation on our website, especially the occupational data, because the way it is presented, we have few complaints that it is not easily accessible or easy to understand. So we are in process of creating a dashboard, Tableau dashboard, and that people can easily access to that data and download for their purpose. So I just want to share that. With this, we highly appreciate actually that you invited us to this forum, that we were able to talk about our division. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, so moving forward here, just wanted to make a brief mention that we do have a little handout kind of summary on various labor market info that we will send out as part of the follow-up material. And I think now that we want to take just a quick 10 minutes sort of stretch our legs break. So feel free to do so, and we will be back promptly in 10 minutes.